Hey guys, Diplex here again. Welcome back to part 2 of our Operation Bagration battle. Hope you guys have had a good weekend. By the way, let me know what you got up to down in the comments section below. So, in today's video, we are continuing the battle exactly where it ended in the previous part. Imagine there's been no time in between these two videos, and you could practically just piece them together and have one long flowing battle. There's a few things I want to address before we click start. First of all, and they mainly concern all the comments I received in the first part. Someone pointed out that the mortars weren't firing. That is in fact incorrect. The mortar, rather, because I've got two now, but there was only one in the previous video. That mortar was fully functional. Don't worry about it. You just didn't see me spectate it firing. Like, we just missed it. We were elsewhere around the map, and it fires a few rounds, and then it reloads for a period of time. So it fires a salvo, then it has a fairly lengthy reload time in between these salvos, and whenever we were looking at it, it was most likely reloading. I can assure you it was firing because I remember seeing the video again, and I saw an impact on the ground that was from one of these 120mm mortar rounds, or grenades rather, and no other German weapon on the field would have caused an explosion of that kind on the Soviet units. So, second of all, some people were pointing out that this offensive was began with, or introduced rather, however you want to put it, began with one of the most tremendous artillery bombardments the world has ever seen, probably the most tremendous artillery barrage ever, along the largest area with the most amount of guns and the most amount of grenades used. And I believe you, it sounds crazy and incredible. Someone wondered why I didn't, point is, if I was to recreate that tremendous firepower, there wouldn't be anything left of the Germans on the map. If I created or had a map that was 10 times this size, with 10 times the amount of units, and destroyed a good 25% of the German fortifications and units with artillery, the map would be too big, and there would be too many units for my system to handle. I would essentially have to create a separate video on a map the size of this battlefield here and just watch everything be destroyed in explosions and then do something else. Like, it's just it doesn't work in this game for some reason. It's just really hard to recreate that kind of feeling. And if I destroy everything with artillery, then what the hell is the point of the video anyway? Someone also pointed out airstrikes. Airstrikes are kind of hard to do in this game, so I haven't really gone into it. Third, about casualties, you can read different sources of information. I read, I think it was a Wikipedia or something, that the Germans took 25,000, killed a total of like 125,000 or so casualties. But there are other sources that state that it was much more. But the interesting point here is that the other sources for the Soviet casualties are fairly unanimous, so that seems to check out. Anyway, guys, I think that is it for the intro. Let's go ahead and click start and watch this battle unfold in front of our eyes. I think it's going to be a good one. So basically, we see here German soldiers retreating from their fortifications. We have some trucks here that were left behind, or kind of like in the end of the row or the column. So they are doing what they can to drive back behind friendly lines. Soviet infantry is approaching now. We got a squad set up here as kind of front recon to aid some of the retreating German units and also hold back the Soviets for a while longer. Oh, that truck is down. So, we've got two areas of defenses here. Oh, shit, that went right in front of the truck. It's lucky to be alive. We have the village here on the left side, seen from the German perspective. So we have two packs, we have the two mortars, we've got lots of German infantry entrenched in trenches and foxholes and behind the sandbags. Look at them firing away there at the Soviet armor, and you can hear the mortars firing now, so there we go. Then we have a flak battery here in the center. 3 flak 88s, nicely entrenched. This is a position that I could imagine being used for a tank, but I felt like putting a tank here looked a little too heroic, almost a little too symbolic in a way, and I feel like it would be more natural to have a static gun in this position. Even though it is a position that would look really cool for a tank, it would just give it too much of a fictional feeling, I think, because it's very heroic to put a tank on top of this like mound here. I don't know. I didn't feel like it. And then of course we have the trench system here on the right side, which is like a fortified hill position. The flak battery is working down the Soviet tanks. We have an MG-42 here on a tripod. Pretty long range engagement right now, my friends. This is a fairly long range, and it's something it's hard to get used to it because Men of War, it's so different from mod to mod with like what kind of ranges they allow. But this, I think this right here with RobZ is the sweet spot. You don't want to go overboard. Oh, that T-34 jumped as it was hit by the 88. It literally took a small skip. So we can see that, oh, Jesus. We can see the smoke pillars and smoke plumes and clouds and everything drift away with the wind. Looking fantastic. You can hear the gunshots in the background. It's so ambient. Oh, that's a nice barrage. So we have a KV-85 moving up. There's a T-34. More Soviet infantry is moving up. Tanker is going to get out, hit by one of the flaks in the center. That T-34-85 is going to cook off a little bit more. Let's move over here to the left side by the village. Let's see what kind of opposition they're facing. We got Soviet troops making their way down the hill. Oh, a lot of the armor has been held back here, to say the least. There goes a KV-2. I think that's very convenient for the German defenders, as that is one of the true bunker busters here in the Soviet arsenal. Self-propelled gun here is going to open up at the flak. Was that a direct hit? I think we will see this tank reload before. There we go, hit again, but it could have hit the sandbags. So it really shows the efficiency of, how efficient it is to put a static weapon in one of those tank ditches surrounded by sandbags. It's hard for this tank to hit. Let's be honest. But it's going to give it another go. It's going to position itself slightly differently. Lucky to still be alive after taking a side hit by that flak 88. No, it's gonna risk it. I like following tanks and units around the battlefield, see how they do. Mortars landing close. Oh. More armor and infantry moving up here on the right side. Now we're seeing tanks use the field. So there's a bit of an open position here on the right side, which we haven't seen any of the tanks use previously. This could be trouble for the Germans here, defending the village. It looks like both Pak 40s are down, completely destroyed. One is just lacking crew. I don't think there's any Germans nearby that are willing to just run and man the gun. I'm not sure. I think 80 crews would obviously have some training. Perhaps one German soldier could figure it out within a few minutes, you know, how to just load it, prime it or whatever, and then fire. But no one nearby right now to take up the pack and destroy any of these tanks. T-34-85 knocked out the flak. I think it looked like it went up in flames, but it didn't. It was actually just part of the sandbag cover that went boom right up in the air. But the Soviet troops are mounting a very large attack here on the right side now. They're getting closer and closer as the German infantry is starting to fall. Here in the trenches and foxholes, there's not a lot of infantry holding these men back. And we see these T-34s still doing what they can to work down that flak in the center, but it is still active. It's still fighting. It's lost some of its sandbags for cover, so another hit on this side, and it might be down. There we go. That's a beautiful detonation. Look at that go. Just the crew be blown back, and then a few sandbags to follow up. That was awesome. And here's another flak part of the battery destroyed. This one is still functioning. This could be the very last flak. There we go, and it's down as well. It just, when it starts crumbling, it crumbles quickly. Over here on this side, this flak has been destroyed as well, so the T-34s are going to get closer and closer now. We're going to start seeing hand grenades and Panzerfausts be used here. Oh, I think I hear it. Oh yeah, there's a tank right here. Right here by the map edge, moving up. That's sneaky. Got more T-34s moving down into this gully here. It's kind of like a ditch. A moat, almost, but not quite. If you put like tank obstacles and barbed wire here, it'd be pretty cool, but this isn't the most fortified hill, of course. Tanks are starting to move up now. Oh, they're getting close. We're going to start seeing more Panzerfaust be used. That was a hand grenade and a Panzerfaust, and it's going to be enough to knock out this T-34-85. Crew's going to jump out and be shot dead. We've got a few more tanks moving up the center. We're going to just have a quick look at the left side. We can see tanks are right now starting to overwhelm that village. There's explosions. We're going to probably be seeing a lot more Panzerfausts and hand grenades used in that situation as well. There's a little secret back there in the forest line, and maybe one could wonder what German hides in the forest line. Of course, the German tiger, the tiger that is German. Well, you know what I mean. Anyway, so we do have a German tiger tank in the forest line back there. I think it's nice. I don't want to put it in a glamorous position, you know, in the center where it's behind sandbags and cover. It's on the prowl. It's in the forest line, in the tree line, like where it should be, and that's nice to see. We got mainly tanks working down on this trench position up here on the hill. There's more Soviet infantry making their way closer, though. I love seeing the mix here of armor and infantry. Look at them moving down. Look at the background. Look at this backdrop. How crazy is this? Let me just get a few screenshots. The smoke. It's amazing. More Panzerfausts being used. One was just fired. Unfortunately for the Germans, it did not disable the T-34. That hill has fallen. How are we doing here on the left side? Still, the mortars are still functioning. I think by now it would be make more sense for these mortar crewmen to get out and fight. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to let them get out and fight. Oh, that's a hand grenade. Oh. There's quite a few destroyed tanks here, though. I'm not sure who took him out. Perhaps the Tiger, which is still lurking. Has it been knocked out? No, I think it's fine. But there are more Soviet tanks here on the right side to help bring it down. I see a handful of KV-85s. But more grenades are being used against the Soviet armor here in the trench. This one probably shook up the crew a bit, but it's still fine. I don't think it disabled the tank. No, tracks are fine. I think the crew is just a bit shook up. We got a soldier here with a Panzerfaust. That's awesome. We got to see what we were waiting for. That was a nice side hit, but apparently it didn't take it out. I'm not sure if it just hit the tracks or something. Not that the tracks didn't even go away. But yeah, that tank is still gonna function. We've got German infantry down here in the foxholes now fighting the Soviets, approaching them from the right side and to the front. This is a nightmare. You're kind of like squeezed in between everything. We even have troops now moving up to the battery, which has been lost many minutes ago. And over here, it's almost completely silent. It's so quiet. Minutes ago, there was fighting here. There was troops running around. You had the packs firing. Look at the lines here of Soviets dead, mowed down by German machine guns here inside the village. How these scenes are so breathtaking. They feel so realistic. Like these games, and this game in particular with all the mods, takes this to a level of realism that I've never experienced before in a game like this. And when the battle starts coming to its end here, and at least its prime, it's just it's a I don't know, it's hard to explain the entertainment. Hopefully you guys can feel the same watching, but it's so awesome. Okay, so for a hero move, so this tiger's gonna go down blazing. Oh, it's lost its tracks. Otherwise I would have just like rolled it out here onto the street. You know, the way the tiger acts in Fury. I'm not sure why it does. It should have stayed. It shouldn't have moved up against the Shermans. It should have stayed put and used its range to its advantage, you know, like, yeah. But it didn't. But it would have been cool. It would have been movie-like to roll out of this tree line, to just face the Soviets head-on, destroy a few tanks, and then be taken out by this nasty KV-85. Yeah, so once again, we're not using too many IS tanks or stuff like that because, frankly, in this game and mod game mainly, some of the tanks have such different skins and model quality, and like I'm deploying the tanks that I think fit well together, that don't look drastically different. Like the IS-1s in this game look like they have a way different texture and they look different. It's just like this is from a company of heroes or something, you know. You're like, what's going on? So we got 4 or 5 Soviet tanks. I'm not sure who's part of this fight right now, but there's at least 3 here fighting that tiger, and before too long I think they're going to penetrate it. And we've got lots of Soviet infantry moving up as well. It's only a matter of time now. In fact, I do think they just took out this tiger. Yeah, he's knocked out. Crew's out. Yes, just go, my friend, go. Look at him run into the forest. What else is he gonna do? Tiger's been disabled. Soviet infantry storming up the hill now. Most of the German soldiers are dead. Yes, this has been part 2 of the battle. I have to say, it was a close one. It was a close one. There's not, I mean, there's tanks remaining, yes. There's tanks. That's that one thing, of course. But looking at the Soviet infantry, so many were lost. So many waves were deployed, but oh, the losses. Absolutely insane. So we're going to go ahead and check the casualties. As always, we're going to mark the Germans in yellow and the Soviets in red. You can tell that there's like lines of them dead as they've tried to charge at the enemy. Of course, we have our pockets of German defenders here and there in the trenches. Look at this. First of all, the bodies that are gone to explosions cannot be seen, so you have to add like another 5th or 4th of this number, so another 25% or so. You'd have to imagine them being here, but they're actually blown into pieces. But they're so nicely spread out across this open ground here, near the tanks, and it just looks like a big old battle. But Soviet armor came in numbers today, as always, and eventually they did topple. We're going to see if you actually perform field repairs here. This T-34 had to be repaired. That explains why some of them just got stuck in the trenches. But that has been it. I don't even want to count the tanks. I mean, we're looking at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a dozen here, you know, 20. So it's just nuts in a matter of minutes. Anyway, guys, hope you guys have enjoyed part 2 of this battle. I'm not sure what I'm going to bring you this week here in the first days of September. It'll be something, not sure what, but hope you guys had a good time watching, and I'll see you guys soon again. Ciao.